Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. Part 2 of this Benelli 125 TNT Naked with a blown gearbox. Right, I've stripped the engine, pulled it out. Now this thing here is an absolute nightmare to get off. Let's just undo this. Right, for me to strip the engine, I need to pull this flywheel off. So I thought, no problem. Got myself my 3-jaw puller and put that on, and it was that tight and it still didn't come off. It's actually stripped the threads off my puller. It was on that tight. What a nightmare to get off. Anyway, puller number 2, that one, I put this one on and it was so tight with that, I was worried about that stripping the threads as well. So what I ended up doing was warming this up with a blowtorch just to try and get the metals to swell a little bit, and eventually it popped off. It went off like a gun when it come off. It must have jumped 6 inches off there, but it's off. I can take it off now. So if you take one of these projects on, that's going to be a nightmare. Anyway, while I was messing around, we noticed this seal here was out a bit. So we pulled it off, and if you look in there, there's the gearbox problem. The actual bearing has collapsed, which means this was out of line when the sprocket was on and the chain pulling it to one side up here, which meant all the gears couldn't synchro. So hopefully, okay, it's been a big job stripping it, but it looks like all we need to do is drop another bearing in there and that bottom end's going to be good. But anyway, I'm going to carry on stripping for a bit and see where we get to on it. But yeah, I think we can actually save that with probably an 8-pound bearing. If you take one of these projects on, these Benellis, be really careful about what you buy, because you can't get the parts for love nor money. I've been on Benelli UK, and you go through their parts list and everything's out of stock. No one knows when the stock's coming from China. You can't get no help. Phone main dealers trying to get parts, and they're in the same boat. So be careful buying anything Chinese. I've been really lucky. I dropped on just by chance and got another bottom end and used that. But this one I'd like to fix, because you need, it seems pointless just for an £8 bearing, just splitting the casings, dropping it in. Might as well save it. I've got all the other bits to make another engine. Right, let me crack on. Let's see what we can do. Right then guys, we split the casing. Wasn't too bad a job. It come apart alright. It's just this one bearing here that was holding it. Just kept giving it a bit of a tap and out it come. Right, we're down to the gearbox now. Now I've just got to draw this pin out and this pin and try and lift the cluster out in one, and then we can have a look what's going on. I'm a bit reluctant at the minute because I'm in such a mess. So I'm going to have a bit of a tidy up before pulling it out, and then we can see if the gears are damaged at all. Can't tell from this at the minute. I'm just hoping it's the bearing that's gone. Okay, had a little bit of a tidy up, as much as I do. Right, it's time to pull this apart. I pulled the one of these out that was here and took that cluster of gears off. I've just got to draw that one off and pull that off, and hopefully we can see where the bearing is. So let me just pull that out. Right then, gearbox is all apart, and that's the problem. You can see there where the bearings are collapsed, causing the shaft to go out of line. So the synchro meshes are not working right. Next problem, get that bearing off and see if there's any numbers on it so I can get another bearing. Right then, we have a new bearing. Lucky enough, not too far from me, we have a bearing place. Now pick that up and the seal, and it comes to about £7.50, which is lovely. Now we've just got to refit this bearing in here, and we can start the rebuild. So I need to just tap that in and we'll start the rebuild. Okay, I've slipped the gear cluster back in, the bearings in. Now hopefully all I've got to do is get the casing back on and remember how it went. Right then, I'll clean the casing up, get it sealed, and see if we can get it back on. So put the sealer all round, because there's no gasket, you just have to use the sealer. And I'm going to try and drop this casing back on. I'll just hope it all goes together well. I'll show you in a minute. Well, that wasn't so bad. Engine casing's back together. It's a matter of just start rebuilding up now. Yeah, went together okay. Right then, let's start getting some of these internals back in. Might start by just putting the oil pump back on. Okay, a few more bits back in. That's back in. Cam chain's on. Back underneath there, that bit's back on. Cam chain, guide, that's back on. Oil pump's back on. And we're just going to keep building it up. It's all pretty basic stuff, really easy stuff, you know, it's just nuts and bolts. It's just putting it in the right order. So I'll let you know once I've pushed on a little bit further. Right chaps, that's back together. Had a meltdown, couldn't find this. You can't forget to put that in. And do you think I could find it in amongst all the bags? No. Eventually found it though. Yeah. That's why I bag everything up. So everything should be in there. But I put that in the wrong bag. Never mind. I found it. Now we'll get this casing on. And that side should be finished. Right, I'm going to unbag it and get on with it. Right, there we go. That side's built up. Happy with that. So I'm going to spin it round and start putting that lot back in there. So we'll push on again and see if we can get it completed today. Right guys, we're back on the other side. I've just placed things in. I'll just put the bolts in. These are all finger loose. I'm just going to go around, tighten everything up, and we're pretty much there on this side of the engine. Just got one bag left with the flywheel, so we'll get that on. We'll tighten all this up, get that on, and I think we're there with the bottom end of the engine. So I've come as far as I can with this engine at the minute of putting it back together. I'm short of 3 bolts for here to hold the one-way clutch on, so until I can get them I can't carry on building this engine, because we're working with 2 engines. There's odd bits that are missing because it was all in a big bucket, so I've got to try and locate some little bits and bobs to make another spare engine up. Because as you can see, with this one is done now, because we took the bottom end off, all tight, that lot of stuff to get the bike up and running, and that one will be the spare engine if ever that one goes again. So anyway, I'll show you what we've done with this and how we done it. As you can see, I've started taking all the broken plastics off. Started throwing them in a box. So I'm going to push on with it and get all the rest of the plastics off it. But I'm quite liking the better look of it. Thinking about just putting some separate LED lights on it, different backlight, but we'll see how it goes with this engine. So I'll carry on. We'll take these plastics off next. Right then. Okay, here we go. We've got the engine out. These bikes, there's that much electronics on them. That takes the time learning how all the stuff comes apart. Now, we've found a real big problem with this, doing this bike, is you can't get no spares from anywhere, which is a nightmare. So anyway, I managed to find another bottom end, so I bought it because we just can't get parts. We bought another bottom end, another barrel, another head. So what we're planning on doing is we'll strip this one and put the top end off this onto that one, and hopefully we'll have a working engine. I've recruited a couple of the lads to come give me a hand, so we can try and get it done in a day and have it up and running. Oh, and old Bill's here. We're all having fun in the garage today and see what we can get done with it. Right, so we get this one off the ramp, get the engines on the ramp and start stripping. Right guys, we've stripped all that one down. That's the bad engine with the bad gearbox in it. We've nicked the head and everything off it and used the snap tool, which is dead handy, and it's on there. Just click your fingers and it's together. Yeah, bit technical. Nah, just opposite of what you've just done. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a bit of a tidy up, and we're going to go for getting it back in the bike up there and see if we can get it started. Yeah, we've robbed bits and bobs to make it together.
It's a pretty interesting engine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very interesting engine, being the 4 valve twin spark plug. but when we pull the head off, the head and barrel come off lovely off that. Kept all the gaskets together, we didn't have to split anything, and just swap the pistons and it all slid straight back on. Timing's pretty basic timing on it, so bit of fun. We're enjoying it, ain't we, lads? It's good to have a couple of hands, extra hands, when we're doing this stuff. So yeah, that's Richard.
Hello.
And we all know Tom. So tidy up time and we'll get back on the ramp. Well, the engine's back in. I'm really enjoying this.
What, being supervisor?
Yeah, being supervisor. It's actually great fun watching these two doing it. All them years of me doing it, actually Tommy's picked some knowledge up. And he's not arguing with me because he's working with Richard. When he works with his dad, moan. Oh, it's great. Great having these two. Me sitting down watching.
Well, don't want that little nuts back here.
Right. I've got it off the ramp. It's decided to pee down the rain. We're just going to give it a quick test, Tommy's. See how it goes. Just got an oil leak. We need to sort out. Yeah, and we've got to put the exhaust on. Yeah, a strange video this one, but I had people round and messed around and just cracked on with it. Yeah, it's been a fun little project, but we definitely have to go and put some exhaust on if we're going to run it again in the street. Oh, car coming. Oh, stalled it. I think he's just missed a gear. Right, what's it go like?
Alright.
Right.
Ain't majorly talky.
No. It's only a 125, isn't it? You used to riding that now. Right then, let's get back in the garage and sort out the other bits on it later. Right guys, we've got the exhaust on now. That sounds a lot better. We ain't going to blow the street out now. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, nice little project. I'll get Tom to give it a go up down the road again when he gets a chance. It hasn't warmed up, so I don't want him thraping the heck out of it. Which he will do anyway, he'll just ignore me. Sweet. Just got an oil leak to cure. It's got an oil cooler on it, and we've lost, well, we never had one of the copper washers. Something we'll have to get tomorrow. And then we can start finding indicators, backlight, stuff like that for it. Drag him in. Okay guys, I'm going to call it a wrap on this video now until I can get some more parts. So yeah, the project's going really well. I've just had my first go on the Benelli and I'm well impressed. It goes really well. Anyway, thanks for the new subscribers, and I'll be back when I get some more parts. I'm down, I'm gone.